I was literally lying on the floor. I said, God, take me now. Take me now. I am done. I gotta get control of my life now. I feel like this is the first time I'm comfortable talking about it right here with you, Patrick. The threats were too much. It's only also when I started to travel out of South Africa when I really realized, what does it mean to be gay? What does it mean to be different? Don't do things that will make people bully you. I, again, did not know what depression meant. I'm not sure what anxiety was, meant, or felt like. I just know my body was in complete shutdown.
Hold on. You weren't okay.
I still struggle to remember, even after this podcast, what we spoke about, because I'm focusing on surviving. I'm looking for nearest exits. I'm looking around me. That's always how I've lived, in a consistent setting of fear and anxiety, not being wanted or loved. Empty. Now I'm out proud, immensely proud to be the individual that I am. I live it completely through and through.
Hell yeah. Welcome to this episode of Rooted Recovery Stories. My name's Patrick Custer. I'm your host and so excited to be here with my friend, Kyle Riley. Welcome to the show.
I'm so thankful that I'm here with you, and I'm so tremendously proud of all the work that you do, and I'm quite excited to deep dive in the life that is me.
Me too.
Yeah.
We gonna go deep.
Let's go for it.
But first.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about your accent, and I have to warn you, because you said, what's up? You don't have the accent. Yeah, nobody has the accent here. No. We're in Nashville, and you've been here a day. Is this your first time here?
In Nashville, yeah.
Okay.
In the southern side, yeah.
So I can't speak for all these other people, but I have what I refer to as a chameleon mouth. So when I'm around my other Southerners, it comes out. When I'm around you, I might start sounding a little bit like you. And so it just, be forewarned.
The fact that you actually warned me ahead of time of my major red flag for people is when Americans love to start imitating my accent, but then they go the complete British side. It is tragic.
Well, it will be tragic.
But I'll be here to judge it out of 10.
When it happens, you have to give me a number, okay?
Absolutely. Okay. Starting right now, you're doing great.
All right. So, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
How was your trip here?
It was really, really great. And I think landing up in Tennessee, after watching a lot of shows in history about the LGBT community right now, is quite exciting for me to be here to see with my own eyes what's going on. But more that is the Southern comfort. Yes, it is a drink, but it also is out here in the sense of people are so loving and caring. And I feel like everybody knows everybody, but in the good way, in my opinion. So I have a lot more to see of Nashville, and I'm quite excited to see what comes up. I've heard stories, so I want to live it.
Well, speaking of what you're excited about, I know you don't know everything that's going to happen, but do you have something that you're most looking forward to that you're doing while you're here?
Besides this, I was quite excited to be with you.
Yeah.
Besides being on the podcast, it is actually going into which people call the Midtown or near the Broadway scene. Yeah, I wanted to see a lot of what Nashville is known about, the music, and I'm not so much about the bars, but more about the arts and culture behind it. I love looking at how the hell did this place become this place? Make it make sense. How was Vegas even in Vegas? In the middle of nowhere. So that's what I'm trying to see, is deep dive into the history of this place.
You're going to have some fun. Well,
Yep. Hopefully.
Oh, no.
I'm excited, yeah.
You most definitely will. So also I have to say, did your husband come with you? Or
No, he's still working.
Okay.
He's still working. So I'm here on my solo trip, and it's interesting with me because I'm with a bunch of women who have the most tremendously great stories about life, being more experienced than I am in age. They have a lot of stories to tell. And I feel like this is so exciting. The unexpected just happened. I love listening to people's stories. Yeah. I'm trauma dump on me, because that's when I hear everything. And that is the new twist to my trip so far. But I'm excited to see what comes up, and I think they are very experienced in the surroundings and what's going on. Yeah,
they are. It's going to be a good time. So you hit on this just a minute ago, and I love that you've already been paying attention. I think our nation has been experiencing so much in regards to LGBTQ plus discrimination in various regards, that people who live elsewhere tend to maybe not know exactly where all this stuff's going on and how bad it is and whatnot. And so I appreciate that you were already aware of the fact that many things are not great here, the attacks, the legislation that's gone on in our state and whatnot. And so I'm curious through that lens, what have you, you also too are a huge advocate for the rights of everyone and those in our community and the LGBTQ plus community. Is there anything specifically right now that has spoken to your heart about what your mission or passion is to make a difference?
Thank you. You know what? Growing up in South Africa, my dynamic with politics and rights and equalism was a complete different perspective of like the world before I came into the US. Like I was internally discovering myself being gay. So you must understand, I grew up in a very small town, but besides a small town, South Africa is a small country. You know, we're talking about the size of New York population state. Oh, wow. Absolutely. So being in that, we normally take things on a bit later in life. So once you guys start your movement, it like has effect later. That's why I was so inspired by the US, because I feel like a lot of great, besides people talking so negative about the country, this country really starts great movements which expand throughout the world. And I think that is the most important part of people, roles and responsibility in this country. You take on so much, but the ripple effect that you have throughout the world as the United States is tremendous. It is shown on our TV, it is shown in our commercials, and that's when we start being like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I'm seeing a trans person on TV, much later than the US. What is this about? Educate me. That goes back onto, I never learned about pronouns even until I came to the US. And we are talking about majority when I was in New York City 3 years ago is when I really got like deep diving into what are pronouns. Yeah. I've never used them. And it wasn't by choice. I was just not familiar. And it's only also when I started to travel out of South Africa when I really realized, what does it mean to be gay? What does it mean to be different? What does it mean to be, I wouldn't even say different. I would say unique, because I don't want to consider myself a different individual. I'm unique in different perspectives. So when I come to the US and, you know, in New York, it's very queer. Welcoming. Yes, and yes. I love that about New York City.
Me too.
I feel they are so futuristic in that city. You know, I'm up for debate if you wanna, but they really are. They paint a lot of the future of generations to come. But people there are so comfortable in their sexuality, which I love. It should be like that across the board. But when I post things such as, you know, hashtag pride, hashtag gay pride, and, you know, all of these types of things, but I mean by pride, by joy.
Yes.
People are like, you don't have to post that. We're very welcoming. I'm like, no, you're not. As someone who's grown up in the city, such as my husband, and he is comfortable being in his skin as queer because that's how the surroundings have been inviting. But to people such as myself and foreigners and people who are seeing it much later in the US, everything you do and advocate for is so vitally important, not only in the US and for places that are not open, such as Tennessee fully, but so much more for the people outside. That's what I'm saying is so huge. So when projects or organizations like GLAD and Inclusion Tennessee and all those start, these are creating umbrellas for people such as, for example, yourself. Yeah. You recently went to the GLAD Awards, and that must have been so amazing.
Oh, so amazing. And I went with Inclusion. I'm on the board of Inclusion Tennessee and went with them to the Stonewall Gives Back. They were the beneficiary of the Stonewall Gives Back, what do you call it? Thing that launched Pride in New York City this year. That was unreal, you know? I mean, like the tears I shed was just unfathomable. I mean,
right.
It was you know.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So you know you're gay, but when you're immersed in those queer experiences where it's so welcoming and open and your people are fighting for change, I feel that is the most inclusive. So I think I can speak for a lot of people when you're in this position that I am. What is my purpose? because you can make a difference. So what is my purpose? And I am discovering that each and every day.
Yeah.
But do I feel I'm very in the queer advocacy? Absolutely. But more so across the board with humankind.
Yeah.
I am severely about, I cannot stand injustice. I really cannot. And that is what I try to make change. I think that is mostly what I stand for, is the justice for the humankind. Truly. And with that comes a lot of queer work and, also working with people of color who've created projects around my area, and also disabilities and stuff. These are individuals who are being seen so much more and recognized, and that's because of work that individuals such as myself do. Yeah.
So true. It goes back to having representation is everything. And that doesn't just mean having a queer person on TV so that people who might be queer can say, wait, that might be like me. It means having somebody who's doing good, who's following their passion, who's following their heart, who's saying, I'm going to see injustice and heal and fix it. I'm going to connect the dots between the injustice of LGBTQ plus and the BIPOC population. I'm going to, it continues on.
Absolutely.
No matter what. When you believe in justice, you believe in justice. You believe in justice for all. I don't know that it's possible to just truly say I believe in it and then only for a few, because then that's not
considerate as a whole.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I never want to be seen as an example, because trust me, I have ups and downs, things that I haven't even spoken about, which maybe we would even get to today. But I, as an individual, am not an example people should follow. Like when they say they see, you just said it, someone on TV, oh, he's gay, I can see him just like me. No. It's about seeing a queer individual or someone who is like you in these settings that you identify with as a community, to say that person is comfortably themselves. You can make a success of who you are regardless. And a success for people means different things. Money, exposure, difference making, many variables. For me, success
social collateral.
Social collateral.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For me, it has never been about money. It's been about, I have the following that I do, that enjoy the personality that I am, that accept me for who I am. And that means support other individuals to find themselves. So I don't want to be the example as my body, as my spirit, as who I am, but I want to say, if you're a queer identifying white individual such as myself, exactly to the T, you have opportunities. And that can go for other individuals who look different, who see people such as themselves on television.
Right.
That's why it's so important to have diversity. And I think that's amazing. And it can be different things, mental backgrounds, social experiences, who you are as an individual. It doesn't have to be queer only. It can be across the board for many.
Absolutely. It can go from the struggle. It can be the struggle. It can be the healing. It can be the, you just like, as you said that, I'm like, yeah, okay, but you're white. Does that have to be a thing? But I'm like, no, that's true.
Yeah.
It's true, because somebody that sees me or sees you talking about as a white man, like these are the things that I experience. I also can talk about the fact that I talk about my privilege as that's inherent because of that, and what I get to do, how ignorant I have been in the past. There's so many things when it comes to representation and identification. We have to understand that it's a tool no matter what, when we are representing and have any form of a platform. So talking about the deeper stuff.
Yes.
Let's dive in a little bit.
I got my floaties, so throw me in the deep end. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
You already talked about where you grew up. A little curious though, if you could just give us a brief, like, what was it like growing up in South Africa, good, bad, and ugly?
Number one, and first and foremost, I am exceptionally proudly South African. I would never actually lose that part of me, and possibly never even my accent or my identification. That's the only thing I have where I am in this position, New York City, to identify me as a person. So growing up in South Africa was one of probably, again, and I recognize a privileged lifestyle. Although the white community is the minority, we had the majority privilege. So let's understand that. But I was a born free, which means I was, in the just after apartheid ended, Nelson Mandela came in, part of the born free, as you classify. So I wasn't very familiar with the previous settings of apartheid, but I could recognize what that meant, thankfully, to coaching and teaching and classroom settings. I had a great life in an immersive experience in nature, and I grew up in a diverse community. So although racism was there and there was difference, everyone was on their own path and own journey. No one really had the privilege of saying, okay, I'm a millionaire, I have 3 homes, 10 cars, let me find my next project to annoy me. No, people were actually working to survive there as a whole. So that was our main concentration. We didn't find projects to eliminate other individuals. It is open there as a queer individual. You can be who you want to be. But you do get your existence of, such as in the US, your very, what is the word I'm looking for? Religious constraints. Everyone has it. But I never felt like I needed to hide my identity. I never felt like I needed to be someone different. You are your most natural self growing in South Africa. The nature, the people, 11 different languages are spoken, multiple different cultures are seen. The food diversity of the Indian cuisine, the which we call the Cape Malay or even colored community, and all the different indigenous cultures. It is so diverse and global, in my opinion. It is one country where you get your entire experience.
That's really interesting. I love that you said there's 11 different languages that are spoken, because I couldn't tell you how, America is a melting pot, so I don't know how many, every language I'm assuming is spoken here.
Literally,
But when you say 11, so when growing up in school there, are y'all taught other, is there a mandatory, you have to learn this many other languages, or specific, how does that work?
I'm glad you asked that. When I grew up, it was forceful that you have to learn English, regardless of where you are. So I could be a natural Afrikaans speaker, but English will be my second additional language. I can be an isiZulu speaker, and again, my second language would be English. But they also introduced secondary mandatory and third mandatory, which is Afrikaans. In every single school, you are forced to speak which people would classify as the oppressor language, which is Afrikaans. Correct. So I am bilingual. Well, how would you try? Or quadrille at this point. I speak many languages, but you are forced to learn Afrikaans. Only now that I'm out of my senior year, they no, that is a selective. So you can select in America to choose to speak French or Italian or whatever. You have a choice.
Am I glad I got to learn different languages? Absolutely, because with language comes cultural responsibility, history, blah, blah, blah. And that really opened my mind a lot. My experience as a whole, compared to a lot of Americans, and this is not a shady comment, I feel like I've much more progressed because of my cultural immersive experience. And that's how I would argue with that.
Oh, come on.
No, Patrick. No, absolutely not. So, you speak with such great intention, and also the accent helps for Americans. I think that when one of us hears someone like you could tell me a straight up lie really easily. I'd be like, really? So is that ability or the accent? It's both. The accent it's like a automatic switch for gullibility. So anyway, you can sell you ice and winter, whatever. A lot of people stop me and say your accent is exceptionally different, exceptionally soothing. And I'm like, I don't hear it, I don't see it. But again, there's so many accents in South Africa, so it really depends where you're from. If you ever heard Tyler the singer speak, if you ever watch one of it, for people who don't know, Tyler's obviously very up and coming, a little other South African representation, but her accent is nothing like mine. Completely different, just because of what type of community we're in. She didn't have an individual. I'm white, who makes difference to all the different communities. Crazy. I'm gonna have to look up her That's something for speaking after this. That's very. Oh yeah, getting your booty shorts because you're all gonna pump like a few ass drops. And tell you that much. Okay, I'll have to go get some booty. Yeah. Like my vanilla self. Oh, dude, Patrick, we know you have a connection. Don't lie. It's the second floor. Okay. Okay. So I have a question that for anybody who might not know, I'm sure you talked about this before, but what led you to getting started with reality TV? Wow. Long story short. So I graduated University of Pretoria in South Africa with a master's in education. And I went to train at a school for a year in 4 schools, all girls, all boys, juniors, and a disability school. Loved my experience, but I just felt like this was not enough for me. Mm-hmm. I said to my mother, I'm done and dusted. I'm becoming a flight attendant. You're what? What was the term? I said to my mother, I'm done and dusted. Done and dusted. Have you never? No. Wow. But I'm going to take it. I'm about to coin a bunch of things here. I think I want a t-shirt. You need a merch line. I think you need a t-shirt that says done and dusted. Done and dusted. You could probably. Wait. I want one for free. Can I come to South London? Whatever kind of you imagine. I'm actually going to do that. No, I'm joking. And what happened from there was I became a flight attendant in 2015. And I worked for a local domestic airline. They shot me up to chief in charge in a year. And I loved flying. Oh my gosh. You know why? I never had to see the same person twice. If people ask me why, I say that's why I cannot handle seeing a lot of people. People annoy me, to be honest. And yeah, well, and in service, when people can you imagine spending days with them in service industry? No. And, especially when it's, because I did serve tables back in college, Yeah. You have repeat customers. You have repeat nightmare customers, and so I can only imagine the thought of just make it to the end of the flight. That done. And you know how long my flights normally were? 2 hours, because that's up in the country. It's loud, right? So anyway, I then applied for Qatar Airways at Emirates, which is 5-star airlines of the world, and I got rejected 3 times. I said to myself, there is not a hell I am giving up, because I've always been a person, and this comes back to my queer trauma, is I feel like I needed to do the most to be recognized for myself, because I was never the top rugby player, never the top cricket player, which you would have baseball and football. I was like, I have to do a bunch of none of these important things in my country to be seen as the same individual, the same status. So I've always pushed myself to the limits. Do I think it's a healthy thing? Absolutely not. But is it a great experience that I had? Hell yeah. Right. So moved out after that, and finally Qatar Airways, I went to an open day. It was the entire day. Out of 1,686 applicants, I'll never forget, I was 11 chosen to lead the country and head to, we're the Middle East. The Middle East, my first time leaving the country. Wow. Packed my entire life up, went to the Middle East and worked in the Middle East 2 years for Qatar Airways. And that was the most, people can't tell you SHIT about service when it comes to Qatar Airways. The most pristine, executive, next level service. That's what we're taught what hospitality is, hospitality. Mm-hmm. Then I came home, my brother said, pack your bags, we are going to the United States. I said, for what? Because the United States was never my plan. Uh-huh. And through that, I've traveled 49 countries total, which most of them were by my own journeys. And I came to the United States to do yachting. And I did. I was in Miami for 6 years. And it was your brother's idea. My brother's idea. He is now busy on his captaincy, ongoing, and megabucks. Anybody who wants to go into yachting, do it. There's money, tax-free, you don't pay for crap, and it's really good for you to do the beginning of your career. Like if you don't know what to do with life, go into yachting, save money, get a business. That's my motherly advice for today. You're all welcome. I love it. Anyway, I did that for 6 years, and I posted videos of myself having fun, enjoying my work, which was service, not yachting. I, to be honest, very truthfully hated going. It is non-inclusive. I felt like I had to pretend to be someone else. I got told to be less flamboyant in my day-to-day. And I was like, yes, sir, no, sir. Was that to get along with the other staff, or because or because of the clients that you were serving? Like, for the comfort of my crew, I had to be less flamboyant. We can let that sink in your head for a second. And I then, this is when the crap started mentally. Big time. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 7. It wasn't a thing in South Africa. Right. My mother said, no, bless her heart. That's a Southern thing, right? But in a good way, not a bad way. Yeah. So yeah, bless her heart. And she said, no, he's just a very busy child. He's just all over the show. He doesn't concentrate really. He's fine. And I went like completely unmedicated, untreated my entire school career. And I have no idea how I did well. I was very immersed in cultural experiences. And that's kind of how my life kind of set itself up. So when I went into yachting, it drove me to my complete mental breakdown without me knowing what that meant or what that felt like. I'm telling you this because it's important to speak into the show. And it was 2019 on the I-95 in the passenger seats when I opened the door and rolled down. I don't remember that. Luckily, I came out unscathed and unbroken.
Do you remember what led up to that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I, again, did not know what depression, what that meant. How am I supposed to feel? I'm not sure what anxiety was, meant, or felt like. I just know my body was in complete shutdown. I lost 100+ pounds. I was anorexic. I wasn't starving myself or anything. I was smoking consistently, cigarettes, marijuana. I was open to using other drugs, which was never on my mind before. But I was like, YOLO. That was my outlook on life. YOLO. How crazy if I look back. I wasn't involved with people who were like negative or put me in these bad environments. This was all self-destructive. Again, did not know what that meant. And I lost my mind. I was crying every single day and night. I had major anxiety. It felt like my heart was ready to fail. But you know when it was set on, when I said, I'm not afraid of death. That was a switch for me. I'm not afraid of death. I wasn't thinking suicidal thoughts. Someone who is really healthy, has a great outlook on life, in my perspective, does fear death because you enjoy life and living and experiences and moments.
It's normal.
Who would want to just leave this world behind? There's so much goodness. Let me tell you, Patrick, 49 countries later, you are not stuck in a shit position. You are stuck in a bad place. Let me just tell you that. And going through that, it was like, okay, next level. I'm not afraid of death. And then I was in the car and I was like, I'm done feeling this way. That's the first thought I had. From that point, I cannot tell you how the door opened. Did I unlatch it? All I was told was I opened the door by myself while the car was going. I rolled out that entire point. And when people say you black out, you do black out. I was not high. I was not intoxicated. I was not under any psychomeds, nothing. I woke up and I had scathe marks and everything. I didn't plan it because the car was not going fast. So,
Who were you in the car with?
My first officer, by the way, who I slept with, and he was straight. A whole nother story, how that was even a contributing factor to everything. Because I felt immense rejection. And I just wanted love, love, love. That's why I'm in the service industry. Do you think I love the service industry because, oh my gosh, I love being in hotels and stuff? No, it's because I make people feel good. I'm a people pleaser. I make them feel great. I always wanted to please people to love me. Queer people say, oh, I always made a joke of myself so I can be the funny guy to take away from the queerness. No, I was the people pleaser. Patrick, I would do anything for you to make sure you love me or like me. Crazy.
When's the earliest time you remember people-pleasing behaviors showing up in your life?
My entire life. The earliest I remember was when I was 7. My entire life. I did it to my parents too. I would constantly please them. So remember, I was not living for me at all.
Do you feel like was there a theme of attention or affection being withheld from you that kind of pushed you to a place of...
Yes. I think there was a part to play with the attention deficit and wanting attention, but it was more so I had another layer of immense bullying and no one wanting to be my friend. God, when I tell you, I had tires put around me in high school and set alight. I had my legs spread. I was in an all-boys school. I had my legs spread and my arms held in a full starfish, and I was kicked multiple times in my groin. I had my pants pulled down and was bent over, and I was sexually molested. From the age of 13 to 16, I was molested by a close friend consistently. And all these factors contributed to me in wanting to please people, because I was like, why does no one want to love me just for me? Why do I have to do these different things to be loved or be a joke of? And I did all of these things. And I
Did you think that those those things of people, the ways that you were abused, did that what message did that give you? Like, did you know outright, like, this is bad, or in some way did you have a discombobulated message of,
I had to do this to be normal. I had to go through this to be classified as okay to be around. That was my thought process. Again, these coins, when you say bullying, I did not know what that term meant. I know what I was feeling was painful and not right. I mean, my mother went in her 6-inch heels. I love that woman. She walked across that school and she threatened them, spread your legs, now I'm going to kick you between the legs. She never did. But I had my mother stand up for me. I had my younger brother, 3 years, stand up for me, completely straight and everything. My whole life, I had people protecting me, my internal family. And they didn't know I was gay. They didn't understand what that meant. And I was protecting myself. My sole duty, my childhood was not spent, and this is not the country or the family or the people. My personal experience was built on survival. I cannot remember much of my childhood. I cannot remember much of my school career. If I still struggle to remember, even after this podcast, what we spoke about, because I'm focusing on surviving. I'm looking for nearest exits. I'm looking around me. And that's always how I've lived, in a consistent setting of fear and anxiety and not being wanted or loved, empty.
So you just named some of your coping mechanisms of being prepared if shit hits the fan, meaning you've got to know how to escape if you need to. Okay. But more proactively, the other piece that you started out by sharing is that of people pleasing, because if you can do the pre-work of making sure people are happy, it's not even like, so at the core, it's not even about you wanting attention to feel good about yourself. It is, I need to ensure my safety emotionally,
because you know what I was told?
Socially.
Don't do things that will make people bully you. And is that not a term of people pleasing?
Yes.
Correct. So all these types of terms was to make sure, using you as an example, do everything to make Patrick not want to hurt or bully you, instead of the opposite being is, you are fantastic. You don't have to be any different. You stand up for yourself. I got told to be under Patrick, whatever Patrick wants, and that's how I fit in. That's the message that was given to me since I was young, to protect myself. Never to stand up for myself. I was never violent. I never reacted. I'm still not a physical person. This goes back to the show where my outburst was, which was one of 3 outbursts I had in my life, which you're the first to find out about that whole shit. And that's how I survived my entire school, career, university, extra. And it was brutal for me to go through that. I only know now, after therapy, the difference of living and not even crying, telling you this, of how I can separate from the person that went through pleasing everybody and brought into the career of pleasing more people, are now, you are okay in your full setting. You are you. You don't need to I lost my job at the hotel. I need to find another hotel because I'm not going to get anything. You are going to get your thing. But this isn't your path right now. There's 500 doors, babes. Chill. You know you got fired today. Okay, it's traumatic, but you don't know what's waiting out there for you, and it's so exciting. I never lived like that. So going on to that, in the show I had a breakdown, and that's when I got fired. No medical help, nothing.
Wait, you skipped over so much.
I did. Welcome to ADHD.
Which,
so
you know what?
back.
Bless your brain.
Thank you.
It is beautiful just the way it is. And I mean, I also have ADHD, and it shows up. We all have a different flavor. So fortunately, we're not on the same wavelength at the same time, right? Like, so I'm like, all right, wait a second.
We bring each other in.
Yeah. So, okay, you rolled out of the car.
Correct.
How old were you?
That was 2019, 27, going on 27. Yeah.
Okay.
27. Still not out, by the way, verbally. I mean, have a look. Was always. If you didn't know.
So were you already expressing yourself similarly to how you do now outwardly, but just not out? Or were you?
Good question, Patrick. Good question. Am I more internally recognized of my body, my selfness, my creativity, my uniqueness now more than ever? Yes. But if you looked at me when I was younger and you didn't know, that's okay. Bless your heart.
Okay.
But you would have known.
Gotcha.
But I was never out. Now I'm out, proud. And yeah, that saying goes, but really, I'm immensely proud to be the individual that I am. I do not question anything about my queerness, my journey, my likes, my dislikes. I live it completely through and through.
Hell yeah. I love that. So the breakdown happened. You're
Yes.
27.
Yes.
What followed?
Well, I got bandaged up, the whole medical journey, and I went back to the boat. My captain came on. They told him the story, what I did, and he said to me, pack your bags, was his response. Not asking if I'm well or if I'm unwell, nothing. Part of why I hate yachting. No one gives a shit about you in yachting.
So it's not just the flamboyancy and what have you. Like, the mental health is not a concern.
If we're about to pop off on this, let's pop off on this. There is zero mental help in yachting, considering you are ocean-based, you are forced to be in another person's space who you are not familiar with, sharing cabins, sleeping patterns are off, your whole lifestyle changes, and I don't think yachting has kept up to saying, Patrick, are you okay today? With that consistent environment, being around other people, I think it's so important to have your own personal space, personal bubble, your rest, all that type of stuff. That is not being taken into consideration. When you think of aviation, you have your sleep hour duties. That is not in yachting, not consistent. You will lose your mind. So when I track back to, I want people to go into yachting because it's good money, absolutely. But I want the extra layer of make sure you put yourself first.
Yeah.
I never did. A lot of people never did. And the yachting industry, I beg you to catch up, put in programs for crew members to be checked in on, regardless if you feel fantastic on the day or not. It is vitally important. You do not know what you feel until you feel it like I did.
Why do you think that yachting being such a high risk, inherently, I mean, there's a lot of danger to it, right? Because you're having to make sure that, aside from the captain, obviously, there's a lot of safety precautions that you have to be trained and ready for, and
Correct.
all the things. And like you said, you're isolated and out to sea. With it being that important, you would think, especially with this day and age, in what we know in society and this era of mental health knowledge and advancements we've made with destigmatization, the list goes on. Why do you think that the industry has not adopted regulations to support the mental health of their employees?
You are immensely disposable in yachting. in certain states such as New York, I can fire you today and you leave today, or you can resign today and leave today. You don't need notice except if it's in your contract. That's the legal law. Same how it goes for yachting. I can fire you today, no problem, and replace you today because there is such a mass of number of people and so many yachts and so many positions, which are very few. So people are clawing, fighting, and running for positions. When you start building that egotistic or egocentric industry, knowing that individuals and humans are very easily replaceable, it is the wild, wild west.
Well, and it sounds like there aren't checks and balance, accountability, basically.
Not in every single one. Not in every single one. I always advise people go through a yachting recruitment companies, and I could name a few, but they better spam our sponsorship. But those are where you will find most security contract based. A lot of the yachts will just hire people who walk past who are obviously certified, because trust me, there's no low lying, not that low lying. Be certified and stuff and grab you because they know they can easily dispose of you as well. Promises were made, promises are always made, you're long term, this is a great job, all the bullshit. And that doesn't work with me anymore. I think when you walk into a place, make sure you have contract based, and that will easily be more than one page, that you have a backed up by MCA, which is the Maritime Certification Authorization, and that party is starting to build more on mental awareness, queer inclusion, but there are not a lot of people that are bringing this to their attention. So that's where it's not working. Because remember, you're getting foreigners coming in on B1, B2.
Right.
I don't have a right here as B1, B2. I'm yet to get on a boat that's a foreign vessel, and I'm not protected. But I can't go to a policeman over here on the US base and say, oh no, someone hit me in the face. I'm not supposed to be on land based. You're aware of that. I had to come to the country as a tourist to find work on a yacht to change my visa.
Wow.
Risk taker. So you do not have these rights as other people do. Hence why yachts don't like to hire Americans, because you don't play with someone who's protected.
Wow.
So there's a lot of things that people are not aware of in the industry, and that's why it's a wild, wild west, and I was never taught that. So now I'm just like, I'm aware that you do not need to be a certain someone to be protected. You are protected with the right call and the right number. And that's what kind of drove me crazy in the yachting industry.
Oh my gosh.
And there are people that are bringing this, and I'm very proud of them to their attention. But it's a fight that I feel like I am fighting by myself, because there are not a lot of queer individuals in the industry at all, for obvious reasons. It's very heteronormality driven, and very sexualized, women only. So there's a lot of work to still do there. So I'm on projects on the other side where I can actually really make a difference in my time frame.
Well, heck yeah. Talking about, back to what we were talking about earlier, like what do you feel like your mission, you're using your platform for good? I mean, this is clearly one of them, that you've been raised up to have a platform now, a voice, come on shows like this and different media outlets to share and educate. I mean, it's the first piece, is like people have to know so that they can care enough to pressure the entities to change.
I feel like this is the first time I'm comfortable talking about it right here with you, Patrick, because the threats were too much and insecurity was too much. You know, people always say, oh, I hate working here, I hate working here. Then someone says, fine, let's stand up and say something. Yes, we will. And you know who's standing up? Just the one person who said, let's stand up and say something. Everybody else has disappeared. And that I was the everybody else. I was the one who like, oh shit, I need job security. I've been threatened. Like this is, you know, I cannot say anything. Now.
Well, also no wonder the trauma, being put an entire lit on fire as a kid, told you deserve it. Like if you don't do, you got to do all the things
to fit in,
to be okay, to survive.
Yeah.
And you need money. Yeah. You need a job.
Yeah.
You need all those things.
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder you did whatever
I could. And now, well, not in this moment, but in this phase of my life, because all of this is leading all of this is leading up to a goodness, which we're going to get to. But in the time, hell no. I would even fear what people said to me on social media at that point in the very beginning. I was like, people like, don't talk about yachting. You make yachting look so bad. I'm like, screw you. I make yachting look fun. I make yachting look like you want to be there. I'll make yachting look safe. So take your shady ass comments and shove it, because I'm making people want to join yachting because it doesn't have to be a hellhole driven, insecure place to live and be. Mm-hmm. If you stand up for yourself from the beginning.
Yeah.
The second captain that told me to be less flamboyant, we're still looking for him. Don't try me. In a positive way. No one is missing. He's still there. But that's the way of you learn and grow and stand up for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think, yes, I could be a voice and I could stand up for that. Now I'm comfortable doing that. If you had asked me to do that back a year ago, I'd be like, Patrick, I fear too much. That is crazy. But now I'm like, I feel more Americanized than ever, because now I feel like you can have a voice and there are other people who will stand behind you.
Absolutely.
One extra person
can be everything and mean everything. And I have a feeling that you're going to have an army, especially after this episode. Not that you don't already, but this is some good stuff.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yes, no, thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admissions center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.
So that captain told you pack your bags, didn't care about your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
What did you...
Went straight back, send me back to South Africa, again, unprotected in the US. So no, I wasn't, what do you call it? Not deployed. I feel like I'm in the army. Oh my gosh, cute.
Deported?
Deported. No, I was not deported. But I had to go back home to find help and everything. And my mother said, you head to a psychologist now. Luckily, I got a psychotherapist. I walked in. People, please listen to me, what I'm about to tell you, uninterrupted, because the follow-up is just going to be crazy and very important. I walked in. I had a conversation. I let it out. This was the first time I ever spoke unfiltered. And when people say unfiltered, I don't mean like, yeah, I was cheeky with my coffee and had something fun in it. No, I mean like everything was on the table. Mm-hmm. Cards were out and face up. I let it out. He looked at me. He changed my idea of I was not molested, I was raped. Come to realization I was underage and it was against my will and against my understanding. Holy shit. Okay, not only I'm here because I'm broken, but I'm here and I'm getting more broken news. Me. This is not what I expected. What the hell? And it came forward through therapy sessions. By the way, 2 therapy sessions when I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Okay. Cool and cucumber. I have a diagnosis. I'm on medication, carbamazepine and sertraline for the rest of my life, apparently, according to him. And I will never question anybody's studies, degrees, certifications. If it's there, it's legal and stamped, I'm down for it. What he told me, which I will carry on, which is very important in people, because I suffered with rejection, people pleasing. He said, rejection is your protection. I said to him, what? He said, let me tell you a real story. There was a woman and a man, real story, husband and wife. He was very abusive and he consistently abused her and she did not want to leave. And she stayed regardless of the rejection. He said, go, go, go. Leave, I'm divorced, I'm done with you. No. And one day he took a gun and he murdered her. True story, it was the newspaper. And that was actually being studied. She was in therapy. And his lesson was, when you are rejected by something, it is your protection and not your path, not your destiny, not your journey. Find a new alternative, and it's okay to find that. And from then on, I never took rejection on the same, because I had a broad aspect of what rejection meant. Was on medication, came back to US, worked on yachts. That's when I was okay happy. When they say mood stabilizer, I was stable, but I wasn't me. So I was stable.
And so for those who might not know, what Kyle is referring to here is, people think a psych med and mood stabilizer, like, I think the term that somebody might go to if you don't know better is a medication that fixes your mood. Not necessarily. The goal is, right, like, to stabilize your mood, but what you're describing, correct me if I'm wrong, I can feel the nuance there, is that you were stable enough that you weren't having outlandish thoughts and doing risky,
wanting to jump out of a car or something crazy. Absolutely.
And so, but you can only go on so long just safe, just because you're not living when all you're doing is
Patrick,
writing.
What's the core? What's the root? Honey, you gave me an olive branch, literally. But where did it come from?
Yeah.
No one's telling me this. I know, I'm on medication, whoop-de-doo, but I have some real freaking trauma I need to get through. No. So that's when I learned that the mental health institution, generalizing, is a cattle farm.
Yeah.
Come in, what are you experiencing? Do you eat a lot? Do you get nausea? Do you have thoughts of other people around you? Tick, tick, tick. No. Here's your prescription. Bye. Great. But I'm still riddled with trauma. That doesn't make me a good person. How can I be a good person for, number one, myself and others around me, if I'm just stable thanks to my pills? No, not high because I'm smiling giggly. No, because now I don't have outlandish thoughts, like you say, or thoughts that are frowned upon, which in my opinion are. I was on that about a year. And I didn't feel my 100% self, but I was not in the dumps. I started posting videos in yachting because I was done with this shit. I needed a new venture. I was involved and immersed with guests, and that's when Bravo saw it on Facebook. And they reached out to me, and I'm like, oh no, I've heard about these, funny, weird scams that come in your email and say, we want you on a TV show. Yeah. I'm like, honey, I know, but are you the one though? Because I've never heard of Bravo.
Oh, really?
No. So
what year was this?
2020.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
I love it.
The ghetto. Yeah. How do I not know about Bravo? Don't come for me, because now I know about Bravo.
Bless your heart.
To the T. You can ask me anything. But bless my heart, for real. And my innocent little mind. And I said no. And then they came back and they said, we want, and I said, okay, you know what? I want out of the industry. This seems legit. I asked people about Bravo. They said, yes, it's real. Are you crazy? They do a show below deck. Do it. You are the perfect person for it, Kyle. And I'm like, I know I'm perfect in all senses, but am I TV show worthy?
Right.
Regardless of what people say, I really know I'm good at my job, but am I willing to put myself out there on TV again, expose myself, having to please people again? Because that's the name of the game. Well, not mine. I'm not here to please anybody. That's not my duty in life any longer. So yeah, did the show, had my interview. Fantastic. Listen, Nadine Rajabi, if you ever hear of her, the most fantastic executive producer you'll ever come across. She is queer as well. She's also immigrant, but she has a creative mind of note. And I really hope you meet her one day, Patrick.
Yeah.
You will become best friends, trust me.
Oh, I'd love to.
I did my interview with her, per se interview, on tequila, because I was like, this is new for me. Take note of everything I'm telling you, please. Tequila, so I was very tipsy, did it. Oh my gosh, Carl, you're perfect for this. We want you. Great, done. Okay, great. Pack my bags. First season, yeah, we go Malta. Natural. I'm great being around other people, like customer service. So I'm not afraid of like going and meeting new people. You can put me in an awkward room and I'd make it shine at the end of the day. That's my, I don't know, it's my touch. My je ne sais quoi. So that was an easy breeze for me. I did that season, no problem. I felt okay again for the mood stabilizers. And that's when I came to New York. The whole show wrapped, done. Came to New York, and that's when I was with the Unnamed, which I really do not want to go down that lane again. And I was with a guy who I met on the show. And that's when I met that didn't work out, met my now husband. What people didn't know about before the second season, number one, I was booming up with people saying, I love you, I love who you are, you have changed, you have been inspirational. My season 7 of Below Deck was the most magical moment for me ever.
Why?
Because I've never in my entire, and I still get emotional about this, received such an abundance of love, respect, self-worth reminding, spirit altering commentary from the fans who have watched the show, who have seen me in my most authentic self, which was season 7. I felt validated across the board. I've never had an ego. I will never have an ego personally, but that made me feel like I exist.
So you feel like you were able to be 100% your full authentic self in that season?
That was it.
It's beautiful.
In season 7. And not just that, it carried over into my life. But after that, that's when the shit started. And
what do you mean by the shit?
When they said the paw hit the fan, it was a fruit basket. Met my husband, loved that. I sat with him on the stoop of New York, you know, those beautiful step-up ways as you go to the apartments, brownstone. Oh my gosh, New York City, right next to a turd and, you know, like a rat crossing the road. So romantic. Love this journey for myself. And I said to him, listen, this is my mental diagnosis. This is my financial state. This is my mental state. This is my family. This is literally what I said. I mentioned all of those things. I turned to him, I said, do you still want to be with me? He said, I want to be with you because you are the most honest, refreshing human being I've ever come across. And I told him everything to the T. But where it hit was my entire life was left behind indefinitely. I just realized I packed everything in a box and I had one box in New York City, no family, no friends, no attachment. This new guy I'm dating, gonna be engaged to, gonna marry, nothing. Not even a career. And that broke me again back to where I was before.
When you say nothing left, not even a career, at this point, did you not know there was going to be a season 8 that you would be on? Did you not think this was going to turn into more than just what you...
No. Patrick, I'm going to tell you the truth. Now, I feel like a bit of a Drew Barrymore moment.
Love it.
You know?
Yep.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I had the love and I felt great, but I never thought I was TV or reality TV worthy. Because realistically, the face being painted on reality TV is you got to have a very screwed up life to be on reality TV and consistently dramatic. This is where stuff started changing. So I'm like, if I wanted to be on reality TV, I have to be someone I'm not again to please people. So what did Carl do? He became reality TV of what he thought reality TV was. Anyway, my entire life, no friends, no nothing, already traumatic. Then they call me back for season 8. That's when their thought process just came in.
Yeah.
Coming back season 8, Carl, you better be this person if you're going to be consistent, because no one gets called back for a second season on Below Deck. That's very, again, like the yachting industry, you're out. So they really play around the yachting industry. Don't get me wrong. Called me back again. So I'm like, okay, in my mind, I've got to give a bit more, but there's no need to be someone I'm not. The show started going. I had zero money. Zero. Because why? I was paying $7,000 legal fees to become a citizen of the US. I was working at a coffee store. Because I didn't know what social media was about. I didn't know how I could use this to my advantage. And I'm still learning.
Yeah.
hello people, I'm from South Africa. This isn't a thing. I don't know the fandom of the America. I'm still getting used to all of this stuff still today, and how that could benefit me in my career. Nope. So I was stone broke, living off my husband's salary, and that took a major pressure on our relationship.
Sure.
And it, as would mine too, if it was vice versa, it does take a toll. Finances are a bitch of a toll in a relationship, period, the end. So I've never been broke. Your girl has always been someone who has had the savings, never had to watch the price tag, not in your Gucci or Prada, I mean your Zara's, let's be basic. But I never had to worry about it.
Right.
And now I was living on someone else's salary. That means I'm independent on someone else again. What the hell? This is what I'm thinking. Crazy. Although he would do it any day for me. Now I have to be independent, and I have to rely, and I have to do things I don't want to do because I need to please people again. This was destructive. I was on the show. There was a whole visa issue. Nearly didn't go to the show. So I was promised a contract, and I'm this close, never made the show because of a visa issue, getting into Italy on a South African passport. Anyway, got onto the show, so I already had pre-existing pressure on me, on myself, that I laid on. Then I was put into an environment of other 2 returning cast members who also had a different mindset of how they see themselves on the second season. So the person who I've met, the person who I've known, these 2 women are not the same people. The person who they're looking at is not the same person too. This blew up.
You all didn't know the additional
3
person.
consistent ones. Because I know you on your first season, but who the hell are you now?
Yeah.
I don't recognize you.
Yeah.
They thought the same thing about me. I don't blame them. Because I was giving dramatic moments and I was very depressed at this point, people. Extremely depressed, and had to fake being happy to make the show a season 7 show. And I did. I faked every single time through, but I was crying, drinking, never forced to drink, no, but drinking. I never abused alcohol, but it was a great feeling. And sorry for that trigger warning for anybody who is recovering. Anybody who is recovering would know what,
I mean, yeah, and those of us who are recovering, I mean, we get it. We get the deal.
You get the deal.
Yeah.
And from there onward, I actually quit the show after Sandy turned to me and said her disappointment to my face.
Which was?
I will never remember word for word because I refuse to ever believe the words that came. And she said to me exactly the part that I took is, you will never be chief stew on my vessel. That degraded every single thing I had worked for. And I was chief stew on 4 vessels before the show. They put me as second on purpose. And that took everything I've worked hard for in the industry. Number 1, after telling you the story, you would know. Number 2, people telling me again, I'm not worth a position. And just because of a meltdown moment, you degrading everything you've known or worked with. You worked with me on season 7. You worked with me in half of season 8. You could tell Carl is going through something. So to jab that commentary in my heart, in my most weakest moment, I didn't even say a single word. I didn't even say sorry to her. What happened actually, she said that, say, you'll never be chief stew. I stood up, complete emptiness, didn't say a single word to a single person, walked down to my cabin and called, please give my, on the mics, please bring my bags down from the hull. Boo, my phone was lit. Carl, you cannot quit. You cannot go. You're the star of the show. We need you for the story, all of this type of stuff. Okay, I'll stay, although I was empty. I still get emotional about that. I had nothing to give at that point, but give my entire high school career. You got to do this to fit in, was from that point till the end of the season. And I did it because, again, I needed money. I did half. I would have been paid half, but I needed the rest of the money. I want to get engaged to my husband. Can I please have one magical moment in my goddamn life? And I did it. And I'm just getting emotional about it because I still haven't. That's why I can never go back on yachts, ever. And that's when I came home and I gained so much weight. And, for me, if I can't see my ding-along past my stomach in the shower, we got a weight problem. Personally experienced. I'm like, where you, girl? Then I know I got to hit the gym. So I was also overweight. I got criticized, being gay, being overweight, being dramatic, being depressed. I was reading all these comments. I went through a dark hole. I was off medication because I was weaned off. They said I'm okay. So I had no medication and it hit me like a ton of goddamn bricks. And then I finally went back.
Hold on. You weren't okay.
Correct.
Did you think you were okay because they said you were okay?
Yes.
Okay.
This is all normal. This is reality TV.
Oh, when you say they, you're not talking about your mental health professionals. You're saying...
Oh, no, I wasn't with a mental health professional at that point.
Oh.
I was with colleagues in a reality TV. I was with people who worked behind the scenes on reality TV. I want to side note and say my production team has never said or made me feel any less than. Let's just put that out there firstly. And this is not anything about Bravo, disclaimer alert. This is about the picture of reality TV. And I said, this is normal. You will be good one day and be bad one day and all this type of shit. I'm like, no, these choices were made by me. I made these choices to be different. I made the choice to go on a show not knowing that my weakness in my mental health state was declining. I had those choices, but I still took them. But I'm so glad I did because I have no regrets in life, by the way. I'm so glad I did because that brought me to the next phase in my life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so I want to talk about that next phase of your life, but I do have a question. While we're vulnerable, not that this whole episode isn't, but I'm curious, and I think a lot of people probably are, in the light of how you've explained that conversation between you and Sandy, Captain Sandy. Did you talk to her afterwards? Did you and she have an off-camera relationship as well?
Yeah.
One where she was a mentor to you?
Never a mentor.
Okay.
Respectfully, Sandy's outlook on life, and this could be Sandy, this could be Tom, this could be Dick or Harry for all I care, is not one that I relate to. So, number one, it's like, if I'm coming to you, example, hypothetically, from a divorce perspective, and you currently single and never been married, the last person I want to hear of advice from is you. To be honest, at this point, it's just venting and you being there as a person.
Sure.
But if you're going to tell me to change this and change that, I'm like, let's leave that for an expert. And so Sandy's perspective is very much from a recovery perspective. And I absolutely love that she can be an advocate for recovery. A lot of people relate to that, but it's not something I have personally journeyed through in the exact same path or exact same way.
Right. And when you say you're speaking specifically to addiction recovery and
Absolutely.
So, and I'm just clarifying, just because on here we talk about a lot of, all different forms of recovery.
fair
I would classify you as someone in like long-term trauma recovery.
Yeah.
Right? So
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah.
So how did that prevent you from receiving, like, as the captain? I mean, like, did that interfere with your ability to connect with her and as an authority figure?
I think it's important to remember, for at least my outlook on life, I couldn't care less if you're a captain, if you're a neurosurgeon, if you went to space. I really couldn't, respectfully. What I look at you
as an individual who I truly respect is how you portray yourself to, number one, yourself and those around you. And that makes me respect. And respectfully, she worked very hard as captain, and we're using Captain Say as an example because it makes sense. But I never looked at that. I'm like, who are you as a person that makes me want to relate or befriend you or even take advice from you? Are you trustworthy? Those are types of things. They always say never ever meet your hero, you'll be disappointed. Well, I never met Sandy. She wasn't my hero, but I was very pleased with our relationship off screen. Okay, we did have a good relationship off screen. We still have a relationship where we would talk if needed or whatever, but we're busy with our own lives and marriages. She's just got married and, whatever. People have this space. We weren't bosom buddies. But that comment thing, right? When she said that comment, yeah, did you feel that it somewhat violated what existed of your relationship as on and off the camera? Absolutely. I realized things are needed for TV. Do I feel like she acts for TV? Absolutely not. No. Sandy is real. My problem is when you have perhaps been exposed to choice of words or triggering words or people who have gone through traumas. I believe I am situationally aware of things like that and people's feelings. There's certain things and words I would not use in certain kinds of places. If we were joking around like we do, and she said, "You never cheese to my blah, 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 blah," I'd be like, whatever, you're not going to find anybody better than me. That was the way it was said, the tone, the word choice in the moment when I was mostly vulnerable along with everybody else. That was chosen for me as an attack. I took it as a personal attack, but my relationship with her has never been the same, from my side at least. We have spoken about it, and it was said, I know what I was doing, to which I'm still very confused to this day.
When you talked about it, did you bring it up to her? Did you bring it up
at BravoCon last year in Vegas? We saw each other. It was uncomfortable for me because I had to do a reunion with Below Deck stars. Like, I've always more related to the Summer House crew. Like, that's more of who I am in my spirit animal. Like, people who have stories, businesses, who can take note of I'm more about that. I'm not so much about the partying, drinking, sleeping with multiple crew members. Not that everybody does that, but not my gig, right? So yes, I spoke to her about it, and she said she knows what she was doing, but she knows what I was doing, but I've never received an apology.
And when you say she knows what you were doing, you're referencing she gets that you were playing to the TV and it was the character you felt like you had to do. Or what do you mean by she knows what you were doing?
I would assume, and completely based off assumption, she is trying to say I'm not innocent in this position. The lead up perhaps to that comment, I'm not innocent and I'm not sitting in a good place. Absolutely, I agree with you. But hello, friend. Why are we using commentary like this? You still have choices. We can still be friends and fight it out and have a good time, but let's have a choice of words. I never say, okay, to fight and say, Patrick, apologize to me to feel good. I don't. Because I look at you and I'm like, Patrick, you're struggling. Where you went wrong, it's taking your struggles out on me instead of using me as your positive force to talk or engagement. You chose to use me as a negative force. And that was a downfall for me where I said, low-key, I'm done with Below Deck. I never said it, but I was in my mind. And I got called back for season 9, by the way, to the shoot Grease, which is out now. And I said, no, absolutely not. Not because of the show, but yachting, the mindset around that. I'm the captain. You have to listen to me. I have respect for people. And certain people require more respect because China Command operates in a vessel. Makes sense, absolutely. But I'm not going to naturally just give you respect or talk to you in a derogatory way until we reach that point, right? I'm still a human being. I'm 32 years old. Like, come. And I'm not saying it's okay to talk to a 22-year-old like that even. It's not. I think we need to become more aware of people's feelings and emotion. And that's what I kind of love about the US. The US is very emotion-driven. Well, some of it, right? Passion. Yeah, passion. Which I know. You've got to be aware of people's feelings, Patrick. We don't want to feel this way all the time. Right. We want to be uplifted and rooted and say, you can do it. You can be different. You can be your unique way. That's okay. But to bring forth down, no, that's not my gig. I'm all about uplifting individuals and myself. And because the dark was just too dark to ever go back there or be okay to live in that space.
So talking about that space and all the things that happened and the things that you even said, like, season 8, I wouldn't have, from what I gathered, that wasn't necessarily, you were doing what you didn't feel like it wasn't you wouldn't necessarily want to do that.
Never. I'm now in a healthy setting that I haven't experienced before yachting. I am now 100% completely in control of my entire body or a feeling state that no one can infiltrate without finding it. How'd you get there? That happened after the Stephen Johnson syndrome diagnosis. Was that during, right after, around the rides after the ride? Can you imagine going through that? I said, I need to get help here. And I did. And then that's when I got told I'm not borderline disorder, and the carbamazepine I was on in the function of my heart. So I was taking medication that was not for my disorder. Well, that's why I was very confused when you told. I've never heard. I worked in mental health for 13 years. I've never heard of someone being medicated for borderline. Like I don't. In 2 sessions, never mind medicated. Right. The diagnosis in 2 sessions. What? That's exactly what the doctor said. The exact same reaction with the eyebrows, eyelashes, eye folds, everything you're giving it. That's exactly his reaction. He said it is literally impossible to diagnose someone in 2 sessions, and the rarity of having borderline personality disorder takes a lot of therapy and work before you can even diagnose that person. Right, but literally the only evidence-based treatment of BPD is dialectical behavioral therapy. Like there's no, so
You're put on a medication that ended up...
Sertraline and carbamazepine. Never had a problem with that, but it didn't do anything for me besides put me at base level.
Right.
And the fact that I came off the show with that trauma, going to get help, again, told I was not borderline personality disorder, and told the medication that I was taking because I'm not borderline personality disorder for a year has been ruining the function of my heart and will never be the same. But you would be very happy to know that you possibly have like bipolar. Okay, great. On Lexapro, yeah, we go. 2 weeks. I start seeing bumps under my hands, and I start getting bumps on my mouth, and it's swollen. By the way, I'm working at Zara at this point as a register agent. Mm-hmm. I'm working at Zara. No job was ever below me, but I could not get work. I've applied, I shit you not, for 188 positions and declined by every single one.
Why?
And my resume has the history of note because I'm too qualified, or I did the show and they don't want a lot of attention around them in their company because I was on the show. Mm. It ruined me as a whole. I was flatlined. I was in the negative. I never had credit cards or anything. I still don't. And I was on the floor. And when people say on the floor, I was literally lying on the floor. And I said, I'm not even gospel. I said, God, take me now. Take me now. I am done. I'm on the 8th floor of my balcony. Apology for the trigger warning. And I said that balcony is looking hella fresh, 8th floor. I'm not sure if I'm going to die if I hit the floor or not. So that's why and that's when I got to get control of my life now. Mm. Luckily, I was on my husband's health insurance. Otherwise, I would have been screwed. And I went and I got diagnosed, and I said, as I saw the bumps, and then after 2 weeks, I went to the general doctor, GP, and he said to me, first thing, no shit. Hi, how are you? What are you experiencing? I said this. He said, are you having a lot of homosexual sex? That was my reaction. That whole moment.
Okay, so I was having that internal reaction as well too. So
yeah.
Okay.
So continue, because where are you going with this? And
right.
Why are you asking me? Do I have okay, whatever. Meanwhile, I'm sick and I'm bleeding from the mouth. Okay, maybe you need to ask everything. I'm weird. He pursues to say, we're going to test you for syphilis. I said, sir, fair enough, you're good. Do all the tests you need. But I just want to let you know, I'm in a monogamous relationship with my husband. He's not having any symptoms. Yes, you could be asymptomatic. I get it. But I have been around enough health education to know what I'm experiencing is nowhere near syphilis. And don't ask me about my gay lifestyle and my gay sex lifestyle. Like, not in this position because it's not down there or anywhere, you know, it's my hands we're talking about. Hello. I have monkeypox. While I'm on Lexapro, don't stop Lexapro, continue to take Lexapro, but I'm giving you 2 penicillin shots, go home, and you have monkeypox. I'm never around kids, by the way, and I haven't been around kids, by the way, but I'm in New York City. You catch a lot of communicable diseases there. Whatever.
Yeah.
I go home. I haven't been eating for 2 weeks at this point, and it's 3 days later after the doctor visit. Haven't been drinking. I wake up one day. He looks at me, my husband, and he says, "You look..." What I heard at that point could have been dead, because I really was. I had full cuts around my mouth, like my skin was off of my lips. I was breathing like this in bed. He rushed me to the ER. As I went in, she said, "That's an amazing doctor. I wish I got her name. I was so out of it." She said, "You have Stephen Johnson syndrome." The hell? Next minute, I'm pushed in the ER room. There's calls all over the ER. Every single doctor that was part of any department in Langhorne, NYU, came down into my emergency unit behind curtain, stripped naked, lying there bare naked on the bed. And they all came to see because it is so rare to have Stephen Johnson syndrome that it only affects 1% of the human population.
Whoa.
And you know, it was an allergy to my psych meds, Lexapro, which I've never had allergies before. It's not something you can discover ahead of time. You have to go through it to see it.
Wow.
So I was taking the medication that was ruining me, that was supposed to fix me. So now I got taken off medication again.
Holy
so I'm
cow.
sitting there thinking I'm going to die because I was literally, it's the first time I've ever seen my husband cry around me ever. He's such a hard ass, but that was brutal. I even said goodbye. Like, it was crazy, crazy severe. People, I've been to hospital. I've seen the other side, but that was crazy shit. Survived that. And then they asked me if I want to be booked in a unit to be in the psych ward for a very long time. I said, oh, hell no. Like, I still joked around. I said, I don't want to build puzzles and coloring books. Like, I don't think I'm there. Respectfully. And they laughed at me and they said, yeah, saying that maybe feels like you should be here. And I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't joke around. And then I didn't take medication for 6 months, depressive, crying, couldn't get work, gained 200 pounds. It was insane for me. My sex life was down the hill. My marriage was crazy, or finances. Couldn't get work. I don't think Bravo wanted me back after my whole dramatic thing on Below Deck. Nothing. And then I took the time and I researched, I need a psychiatrist in New York, top freaking notch that my medical aid can cover. And I did, and I found the most outstanding doctor, Dr. Hasib. He has written books on books on books. I didn't read, so I didn't even bother reading the titles. But I just saw a bunch of books and I was like, score, very much me. Mm-hmm. And then I booked him. We went through testing after questions after testing. I told this man again from beginning till end, and it was sessions after sessions. He said to me, you have ADHD, which is undiagnosed for quite some time.
Yeah.
Your lack of diagnosis and medication has now brought you to the point where you have now social anxiety, severe. Patrick, as nice and as cute as what I am to be around, it's a one-on-one thing for me. Crowds freak me out. I am very depressive, suicidal, and I got put on venlafaxine because I had to do research with Stephen Johnson. I can never have certain medications or even Botox. That ruined me. Not the fact that I was lying there half dying.
The Botox?
When that doctor came in and said, you can't have Botox again, that was when I said, I'm done. That was it. That was the breaking point for me. That was like, imagine my mind pulling out the IVs and saying, no Botox, no girl. That was when my gay moment came out. Disrespectful. Anyway, so I'm on venlafaxine.
Wait, did you really? Did you pull out?
No, I really didn't. Oh my God. But in my mind, I felt like it was brutal for me. Like, Jesus.
I'm playing out the moment for myself at the same time.
You should. You see the dramatics behind it? Absolutely. Yep. Like, come on, Patrick. Mental health, gay, and I can't get Botox. Like, give me a struggle here.
That feels like prejudice.
Someone's coming for me.
All right.
It's sus behavior. And then I got put on venlafaxine, 75 mils, then bumped up to 250. And I'm proud to be on there for months now, through therapy, talk therapy, I've uncovered so much of who I am. I have brought so much light back in my life. I could not imagine where dying would be the okay answer for me, as opposed to how I feel right now, where I can really not imagine not living every single day and every single moment. Truly, I am so happy. Not only am I stable, I'm the spokesperson for luxury villa housing, work for Blade. I have my own radio station on East Village Radio. Started and closed my own podcast, which was amazing. I started my own business. I am a real estate agent in New York City.
Love it.
And
Love
I
it.
still proudly work at a coffee store because that's what brings me joy with small
Hell yeah.
customers. And I am so tremendously happy at the point where I feel I am fulfilled, and now I am giving back and it's taking nothing of me. I am so happy. And that came down to finding the correct medication, the correct doctor, the correct care, and gone through all of this to know what I really need. I needed to go. So that's when, I got those crises on my lips? Gross. I'm talking so much to you.
No, you're fine. I couldn't even see them.
I felt them. Gross.
But now we all know.
Now everybody's zooming in. Perfect. I got to give. And now I'm at the point where I'm literally feel like I'm consistently giving back. I'm not feeling like anything's been taken from me. My no is my no. My yes is my yes. There's nothing in between. You're going to get what you see with me respectfully, and I'm going to respect your space too. Who you are as a person, whether you're an introvert, extrovert. I've loved so many people across all spectrums of life. Individuals, human beings interest the hell out of me. And that's the story I want to share. My radio station, for example, which I love that you have these intimate, deep moments, which I would normally do, but it's on the opposite spectrum where I'm just like, I want to just bring a full-blown, crazy 2-hour episode of sunshine, ray, excitement. The medication I'm on, I do not drink, so I've been sober. And through that revelation, I've also been like, I don't need this. I don't need this. It was a combination of the right doctor, right medication, right time, being sober. It was all coming to me at once and was like, was this the answer the entire time? And I'm exactly who I am, not killing my personality, and this is all sunshine, and I've never looked back. And I have such a great support group. You know, I have you, I have friends like Bronwyn and Jen, I have my husband and family. So important to have such a core group.
1000%.
I don't need to rely on you guys, but the fact that I can turn to you and have the discussion of relatability is everything, when someone can relate and understand. And I am so ready to be back on TV for all the right reasons and to share the right messages and to just consistently evolve and develop. Honey, I've lost 100 pounds and I'm feeling my oats, my goats, purse first, out the door. I'm happy, Patrick.
Oh, and that's absolutely evident. I'm just so happy to feel it. Not only do I believe what you're saying, I felt it before you even said that. And it makes my heart truly full of joy.
It makes me happy to say that.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy to say that.
So I just want to ask you, as we close, for that person or people, I always say this because for that person we speak to at the end, I feel like there's always there's so many people that are tuning into this, but there are those people that really think they're the only one listening. For that person who thinks they're the only one listening, they're related to your story, and they are actively suffering from what you described as being someone they are not, at the expense of their own health, their own survival, their own story, their own reality, their own ability to thrive and connect and have meaningful relationships. What parting words would you leave for them as encouragement?
Always rinse your hair with ice cold water after conditioning. That's my first one. I only realized that now. Please take that advice. Anybody take that advice. But on that is a serious note. But on a very serious note, it's what I consistently tell people, besides that we spoke about, rejection really is your protection for something new and upcoming. That is the rejection part, because I think a lot as a queer individual, you're going to face a lot of rejection. I don't want that for you, Pookie. No one wants for anybody to face rejection. But the fact that it's going to come your way regardless, could be a basic work job, for example. Honey, that cannot be your downfall. That's your uprising. Every single thing that you cannot face or you get pushback from is only increasing your value every single day to become a better person for you, not for the job, for different perspectives and angles and paths in life. Do not give up. There's going to be many times you're going to feel you're going to give up, and you probably might. But honey, get the hell back up. Like, I wish I could have done this much earlier in my life at the age of 22. Imagine I could say I lived out my 20s, not surviving and just living. I would love that. But I was fortunate enough now to do that in my 30s, which I'm going to be doing. Support is everything. Everything. I think more than support is safe spaces. I'm not talking so much about an organization or a nice lounge for you to go tell your problems to, but there are people out there that are like you, that have lived through lived experiences too, and that's important. See your situation. Is this something that's conducive to you or not? Do you want more? Leave it, you can. Patrick, I was never wealthy. Still not. Whatever Google says, I have $750,000 to my name is a lie. Let me tell you that much. I chose to find the careers that suited my personality at the time, leverage those careers and or jobs to different perspectives. Starbucks is not your beginning and your end. If it is, I love that for you and that's what you wanted. But what's next? What if I work at a boutique? And that's how you slowly build up yourself and your brand through experiences and play in a safe place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is such a full spectrum, just nugget of advice, and I couldn't second that more. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. It really has been so great being here with you.
Yes.
You are such a sweetheart to so many, and I'm so fortunate I have found you and that you gave me the ability to share my story today. And may you shed so much more light on others, and you're doing such a great job, Patrick.
Thank you so much for those kind words. The honor is truly mine. Before I close out, one last question. Is there anything about what's coming next that you can tell us?
Yeah. I mean, by the time this comes out, I'll be full blown in the radio station. I'm currently doing some back interviews, or shall I say castings, for Amazon TV.
Awesome.
So there's going to be some interesting uptakes over there. And as opposed to myself and my husband, we are now officially starting our Planned Parenthood account.
Heck yeah.
So savings are coming up because I really want to be a dad one day. Truly, truly, truly. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyle.
I really appreciate you. Thank you, Patrick.
Appreciate you too. And with that, I'll close out reminding each and every one of you that it's never too late to start loving yourself, as evidenced by my friend Kyle here. And you're always only one decision away from a completely different life.
This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admissions center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.